Kislev versus Wood Elves matchup I've been quite excited for. Definitely one of my most hyped matchups in Mortal Empires, just because these factions have a lot of interesting things going on. You know, Kislev's got like the whole hybrid thing, so a lot of their units will match up decently in melee and at ranged with Wood Elves. You've got these armored shielded infantry with a pistol attack, relatively limited ammunition, but still, you know, on paper that seems really good against the Wood Elves. Not to mention also Lore of Ice gives you a passive, which also gives you more missile block chance and armor. So yeah, Ice Switch here leading the way. We've got 5 Kossars, regular armored Kossars, I should say. 4 Kossars with spears over on the side. A Patriarch leading some Winged Lancers for my opponent. He's coming in with the Wood Elves. We've got Dryads up front, Eternal Guards in the second line, and then a huge line of Hagbane Tips and Starfire Shafts mixed. A regular Glade Guard in there as well. Swift Shiver Shards is technically his lord, which is hilarious. Eternal Guards there, and it looks like a couple of Dryads over on the far side. Let's go ahead and get to the reserve armies. For my reserves, 3 Griffin Legion, 3 Winged Lancers, 2 Horse Archers, and 4 Kossite Dervishes for an all-cavalry reinforcement. My opponent, he's got his lord, Dryka, in reserve, 2 more Swift Shiver Shards, a Great Eagle, another Hagbane, and another Starfire. We've also got a Dryad, 3 Eternal Guards with shields, and 3 Glade Riders with spears. And now we're back. Let's get it going. So, yeah, Kislev. A lot going on here. Even without their DLC, they seem to match up reasonably well with a lot of the old world, or sorry, yeah, old world factions. Technically New World, I guess, in the case of like the Lizardmen, right? But still, you know what I mean. A lot of the old factions, they match up interestingly against Kislev. Excuse me. And yeah, I've had a lot of very, very fun games with them so far. So let's see now. Domination on Black Ark. I'm not going to do my traditional overextend. At least I'm going to try not to initially. And just let my opponent kind of maneuver here, summon in some units. I'm going to do the same thing, get in some more cavalry here. As you saw, my reserve army's a lot of cavalry. So that's definitely my sort of idea here. My planned tactic, if you will, is to move up, try and secure this location, and just set up like a huge arc of fire and fighting, basically. They can choose to come and fight me if they want, or they can sit back and get shot while I prepare like a cavalry attack. Kislev cavalry is definitely superior to Wood Elf cavalry, even though Wood Elves definitely have the speed. Like, even Winged Lancers and Griffin Legion, in my experience, trade cost effectively even into the top tier of stuff like Stag Knights, just because of the armor and the high charge. It's almost a direct counter to the Wood Elves' light armor and low HP, generally. So, we're going to get the Kossars moving up here, though, into pistol range. They're going to blast some of those Dryads. Dryads did get a little bit of a buff in this update as compared to the last patch that we had, so going to be a little bit better here, especially against some of my lighter armor units. But a nice charge in the Winged Lancers straight to the front line. We're going to attempt to overrun into the archers into the second line, just immediately break a lot of the Wood Elven units. But Eternal Guards are on station. You can see they're starting to get some of the magic again to increase the missile block chance. If we check in here while that passive is active, yeah, they have that extra missile block chance. Unfortunately, it wasn't showing the percentage for very long, but that's okay. We've got the summoned Snow Leopard up here as well, so definitely aggressively pressing. I know as soon as I said I wasn't going to overextend, what do? Get a bunch of cavalry in here and start to kind of overextend. I'm also not focus firing very efficiently with my line of range units. You can see this engagement. It's a little bit hard to see the range marker in the color I have, but the engagement's taking place literally just outside of the range of my troops, which is definitely very painful. Means there's no supporting fire coming in here, which definitely could have broken up some of these Elven units already, but still, we're going to give it my best attempt. And finally, my range units do start to move up a little bit there in the little section. Meanwhile, got a cavalry force coming in, had a ton of supply banked up, so a couple of Kossite Dervishes, and I think 1 Winged Lancer in that group of cavalry there. Try and chase some of those units off. My opponent, though, doing a great job pressing over on the side here with these Eternal Guards, Dryads. I think he's even got Dryka in, yeah, Dryka in off of a summon. This is great. should be able to get a Malevolent Dryad summon even in my backline, depending on if she's still got the charge available or not. But let's look back at this full engagement here. Once my Kossars, armored Kossars move up, my cavalry is able to somewhat prevail, but not without taking horrendous losses in the process. And we're struggling to finish off a lot of these Elven units. Man, look at that focus fire on those Horse Archers. As soon as they get summoned in, great reaction from my opponent to just immediately focus fire with a ton of units. We're also going to get a nice Pit of Shades here from Drika. I definitely was hoping Pit of Shades would get nerfed for this update, but it looks like it has not been. So hopefully that's one of the first orders of business in Immortal Empires, is to nerf like Pit of Shades, Talons of the Night, those stationary vortexes. A little bit too strong right now. I mean, even if you nerf the damage significantly, they'll still be strong in Domination, just due to the design of the spell. Anyway, over on the low ground, not even engaging with those Eternal Guards right now, just outcapping them with 3 cavalry in a nice little triangle there. So we'll keep it up, focus up on this high ground engagement, as this is where a lot of the important stuff is happening anyway. Kossars are starting to actually secure this objective from my opponent, but again, the overextension definitely should have just pulled back once I started losing and make sure I keep this home objective. I'm getting reasonably close to a 3 cap, but then my opponent does a good job here of outmaneuvering me and getting on to this objective number 2 here on my home objective. I bring in some armored Kossars so that I can redeploy these cavalry away. Once we win this engagement, my opponent, though, brings in some more Swift Shiver Shards and Glade Riders just to kind of distract my cavalry so they can't come back up and help re-secure my own home objective. We're probably not going to get this away objective, even though right now things are looking pretty good. Multicolored arrows raining in on all sides here as the pistols of the Kossars continue to fight back. Spears as well, pushing back this light Elven cavalry. Yes. Very brutal matchups. Bears versus Stags and whatnot. No Glade Captain from my opponent. I'm a big fan of the Glade Captain to fight bear characters, but just instead going super wide with lots and lots of support units. Seems pretty good. I haven't done a good job of bringing in enough cavalry to silence. Like, just look at this huge concave of archers, and at this point we've broken pretty much all of the melee units, so it's prime territory for me to now bring in some cavalry, try and clean things up. So here come the Kossars, Kossite Dervishes, I should say, and a very nicely placed pocket summon from Drika. Very patient to hang on to that. I'm the type of person that usually blows my summons too early, but a great sort of patience play from my opponent to bring in those Dryads at exactly the right time, block some of my Kossite Dervishes from getting to those nice juicy archers, and the concave continues, or the yeah, position, I guess. Not really a concave technically, but you know what I mean. Breaking up those Swift Shiver Shards in the distance, at least, as more cavalry redeploy up to the center. At this point, I'm realizing, like, I've made a pretty grave error. But once again, as always, in overextending, even when I tell myself, like, I'm not going to overextend, not going to overextend. It still ends up happening. That's okay. We'll pull back, try my best to just re-secure this objective, see if I can get back in this game. Things are looking okay for the time being. Cavalry finishing off those Swift Shiver Shards at the bottom. A lot of these Wood Elven archers are also running out of ammunition. Quite nice. A little bit of a heal there on some of those units from Drika. Drika herself is in a pitched combat against the bear characters. The Patriarch and the Ice Switch here. Smacking some wood, which just sounds terrible. A little bit of the explosion, a bound explosion from Ice Witch, doing some nice damage, but they're also taking significant damage from the missile fire of the Wood Elves. More cavalry gets brought in here, and it's time to deploy the heavies. I probably should have done this a while ago, but let's bring in the Griffin Legion to really start to punch some units off the battlefield. I've been mostly using Kossite Dervishes and Winged Lancers this entire time, but I need some elites at this point to really start to clear out these Wood Elves, everything that's left. So nice hammer charge on those Dryads. Switch that engagement around. Got more Horse Archers coming in as well. Nice charge on those Deepwood Scouts. Going to bring the bear characters in as well. And lances forward. Just keep charging through one unit to the next. Not even waiting for them to break. Just trying my best to stay moving at this point and clear out all of these light bodies that are left. And if I can clear them out quick enough, maybe attack this objective, and also attack this objective. I mean, I have this objective, right? We're reasonably close to getting a secure here, but if I can do it quickly enough, then go secure this objective, go for a 3 cap, there's a chance I could still get back in this. My opponent does have a lot of supply banked, though, something that you can't see, unfortunately, in replay. So he will be able to bring in quite a bit of reinforcements in a timely manner, but we'll see. Cavalry right now, Kislev pressing. Cavalry of the Wood Elves trying to defend alongside their Eternal Guards, but a little bit overblobbed here. Going to get nicely punished by that Frost Breath. I think that's what it's called, right? Ice Maiden's Kiss, that's right. I'm still learning the names of the Kislev spell lores just because I'm not the biggest fans of them. But anyway, going to get some Frost Blades in here as well, and these Wing Lancers just to give them a nice damage spike as we clear out the last of the Wood Elven Cavalry. The Griffin Legion gets tangled up with Blade Riders and Dryads here. Pretty great engagement for them. There's a handful more Swift Shiver Shards, but it looks like they just routed. And the Armored Cossars now could push up and just try and bottle up any units my opponent tries to bring in out of his deployment. But time is getting very short indeed. We've only got a few hundred points left to try and get a full triple cap. So this objective is pretty much secured. I'm going to start force pathing my cavalry over to the next objective. But my opponent at this point, all he's got to do is just block me from getting onto the objective in time, which probably will be able to do, but let's see. It is going to be very, very close here as the Elven Cavalry pursue. Didn't think I would get a chase scene today in Total War Warhammer, but there you go. A little bit of a frame lag chase scene now. At least my preview in OBS seems to be dying a horrible death. But anyway, here come the massive Elven reinforcements, like I said, and unfortunately, if I had maybe another 30 seconds or so, I could have rested that objective, perhaps, and at least staunched the bleeding for some time. I don't know if I would have been able to defend against all those Eternal Guards, but ended up being pretty close. I think my opponent is one of the tournament players in the upcoming Summer Championship. I don't want to say who, in case I give away any secret strats, but definitely a better player than me. I feel like I gave him a pretty good run for their money, and if I hadn't made so many mistakes, perhaps I could have won. I do think I had tools I needed to win here, but I just, man, do I ever get over-aggressive on this map, and it's something that I really need to get a handle on, but fun nonetheless. Still had a great time here. Ice Witch, definitely a great, solid choice in this matchup. The summon's great. The AoE explosion damage is great. She's just a bit more cost-effective than Katarine. I like her better for those reasons. The Cossars also, I mean, none of them really end up paying for themselves, which is fine, but you need something to act as infantry here. Maybe I should have just opened with all cavalry, though. I mean, if you open with, like, 10 cavalry units, what are the Wood Elves really going to do up against that? Just run over there and just smash them in the face, right? At least on paper. But I don't know, maybe this is actually the right way to go, to deploy your infantry first, especially on a map like Black Ark, where it's going to take your infantry quite a long time to even get to the objective in the first place. But cavalry all performed pretty well. The Griffin Legion also should have been out for a little bit longer, but definitely heavy cavalry against the Wood Elves. Who would have thought? It's a very, very solid for my opponent here. A lot of great value on those Glade Guards, on the Dryads as well. Definitely felt that little bit of a Dryad buff there in terms of them training into my own infantry. Nothing too crazy, like they burned down the house, but I mean, it's definitely better. Definitely feels better. And Dryga also contributing nicely to that one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.